Prices are rising nationwide as inflation remains stubborn and mortgage rates remain high as Americans compete for fewer available homes. Home prices in March were up 0.4% compared to February. Now that's the second month in a row that we have seen gains.
My parents' house that is $195,000 back in '96 is now worth like $500,000 to $700,000. My children will never be able to have the life I live because I can't afford to do it.
I don't think any of us thought when we were growing up that owning a home would be a luxury. Like maybe we thought it would be a bit difficult, but not like a luxury that basically only the rich will be able to afford.
No one that works a full-time job should be facing homelessness. And that's what my family is facing right now.
Being completely radicalized by the rental housing market right now. I cannot believe that you can pay over $300 in non-refundable fees just to apply for an apartment.
A big part of the reason why social life here in America is getting more and more difficult has to do with the fact that nobody can afford decent housing.
Everybody in America kind of knows, like, it's over. Like, there will be no recovery. Like, this is not like the other times. This ain't like 2008 where, oh, we'll crash and then we'll get back up.
So we can all agree that the economy is the worst it's ever been. Everybody tries to relate it to something like the 2008 financial crisis or something back in the 90s or whatever, the Great Depression, any recession, any economic struggles that our nation has had. They try to compare to what's going on today. But the truth is, what's going on today is worse than anything else that has ever happened in history. Because you might say the Great Depression was a little bit worse, but you got to think that was due to a failure by banks and investment in stocks and all of that. What's going on now is a purposefully oriented attack on the middle class, the working class, the fighting class, the class that gives you all your taxes, the classes that is going to get sent to war to fight for you, the class that is going to have to sit back and struggle and keep America running. We're the same people that they forget about when they start making policies. They start saying you can or can't do this. They start, increasing prices. They start forcing you to accept AI databases in your neighborhoods to take all your water and electricity and raise your bills. But you're forced. And if you try to fight back, then you're a terrorist. You're a fraud. You're not a real American. You don't want America to succeed if you fight back. Because keeping your neighborhood safe and clean, that you're not allowed to do that.
Because right now, this economy, this world is set up to make average American families fail.
And I'm appalled that our particular kind of capitalism not only fails to deal with the housing problem, but somehow routinizes it so that the homelessness is blamed on the homeless, blaming the victim kind of. Because I can see why a society does it, because if you're such a failure at providing this basic human need, you better blame somebody, because otherwise you risk blaming yourself.
Probably gonna make some people mad, but I don't feel like 90% of us make enough money to even worry about the economy crashing. Everybody is like, the stock market's gonna crash, share prices are going down, and I'm like, I never got a share in the first place. The housing market is plummeting. Maybe I'll finally be able to afford one. I want to be in a tariff tax bracket to where I can actually care. The rate we're going, no one's ever going to be able to afford a new car. I've not been able to do that anyway.
I can get my hands on a nice lump sum of money, baby. I'm buying land in another country and I'm out of here because there's nothing left here but struggle.
Hi there, my name is Tyler, and even though I work between 50 and 60 hours every single week, I am homeless living here in my car because of inflation. There wasn't any help to keep me in my apartment. Even though I paid my rent on time for 3 years, I got behind just 2 weeks because I lost my job for reasons outside of my control. And I called the city, I called the county, I called the state, I called charitable organizations like Salvation Army and churches, and I was told time and time again that there was no help for me. The most that was given to me was being put on a 7-year wait list for possible affordable housing. I believe that this is wrong. There's so many hardworking people like myself, tens of thousands of hardworking Americans that are out here trying to survive, but we can't afford a place to live anymore, and we're being forced to live in our cars, and I believe that is wrong.
I will never be able to afford a house. I will never be able to afford a house.
The cost of living crisis in America is real, and I completely understand why so many people feel inclined to create video content on a platform like TikTok, expressing their disdain for it. Everyone is hurting. Even if you're a high income earner, you're not alone. And it really is no wonder, just given how prices have gone up on just about everything from food to gas in this country. The average cost of a home is $420,000. Most people don't have the ability to afford that, especially with crippling debt, like in the form of student loans, and a myriad of different bills that people just can't seem to get out from underneath of. We can't even buy cheap food at McDonald's for $1 anymore. They completely nixed the dollar menu. And what dystopian future are we living in which we have to pay more than $1 for fake food at McDonald's that doesn't even taste any good? So it begs the question, what do we do?
I'm not trying to come across ungrateful or unhappy or cynical or anything like that, but I have a question. What in the hell has happened to cost of living increases? Like, for real. Everything is going up. Everything around us. It's just no matter what, between eggs, gasoline, all these things. And we get a cost of living that's 1%. What are we supposed to do with that? Like, what am I going to do with 1%? Our insurance alone is going up 10% this year. And we're getting 1%? Now, doing the math, that's losing money. That's year after year. I'm not getting any more. I'm losing money. They're taking it away from me. I come from the time back in the early 2000s where a raise was a raise. You get 6, 7, 8, up to 10%, and it was normal. And then in 2007 or 2008, somewhere around there was a period where we got nothing for 3 years. And now we're getting 1%, and we're supposed to cheer about it. I don't get that. What am I cheering for? Am I cheering for, hey, I lost money, the longer I work for you, the more money I lose? How does this keep happening?
Okay, like, do I want to work hard in my 20s and then save up, and for what? Like, what are we saving for? Like, I have a car. Everybody has to have a car, basically. Like, you can't get around. There's no buses, trains, places. We're in the US. What are we saving for? We can't afford houses. So, like, what are we saving for? What are you saving for? And so, like, do I want to work hard in my 20s and then, like, what? Work hard in my 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and then try to retire and, like, enjoy my life? Like, my brain is so, like, already broken out of the matrix that, like, why are we even working? We're literally working to buy shit.
You guys, I can't afford it. I can't afford life. I just can't. It's so hard. It's so expensive. It's so darn expensive to live nowadays. I just can't do it. I don't know how everybody else is doing it. I don't know what kind of money you're making. Where are you guys working? That is normal people. I'm talking about normal people. I'm talking about not influencers, not these crazy high corporate jobs, normal jobs. What are you guys doing? Because apparently I'm doing something wrong. I can't afford life with my job. I can't afford it. And I can't leave either. So that's that.
There's not been a lot of other times in history where it was completely normal to work a full-time job and still not be able to afford to live, or even just afford the bare minimum. You know, like a very cheap rent, very cheap and bad for you groceries, ramen noodles and Vienna sausages, you know? That used to not be normal. It used to be if you couldn't afford life, you failed. Now you can succeed. You can go and get a degree. You can go and get a high entry, you know, a high demand job, and still be making basically minimum wage, probably $2-3 above it, which isn't really anything, because minimum wage isn't minimum wage. It's how much they want to pay you, the minimum they want to pay. Minimum wage is supposed to be if you're a single person who lives by himself, minimum wage is supposed to help you survive. You should be able to live by yourself off of minimum wage. That's what it was created for. So to everybody saying, oh, well, you just need to work harder and get a better paying job, and you just need to stop spending more money, and all of that. The minimum wage was created that way everybody who worked, poor or not, could at least take care of themselves and get the bare minimum no matter what job they got. And I understand people say, well, someone making pizza shouldn't be making the same money as someone digging ditches. But at the end of the day, the person digging ditches and building America still makes less money than the people funding your freaking policies, funding the government, funding the people you vote for. So you're an idiot by saying something like that. If you think that, oh, well, people in fast food and retail don't deserve the money, yet people in the blue collar and in the offices make, and okay, so what about the billionaires that just sit on their ass and have Amazon sell all day? So you would think that the people in the warehouse deserve more than the people investing in stocks, right? Don't you? Because you just said it. So don't try to change your mind now. That's the thing I talk about. It's a whole bunch of, idiotic people that think just because someone didn't invest in the stock, just because someone didn't get a degree, that they deserve to make no money at all.
Now, what I'm about to say may piss a lot of landlords off, but I don't really care at all. But I'm going to read to y'all the qualifications that this person wants for this house. And it ain't an amazing ass house. We're not talking about anything super expensive. The rent, like I said, is $16.95, $40 application fee per adult. They want you to make 3.5 times the rent. Standard for whatever reason is 3 times the rent. When majority of Americans don't even make 3 times a $1,600 a month rent. I don't know where people just get up and be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna make this a national standard that people have to make 3 times the rent amount. Majority of people can afford 2 times the rent on a specific basic home like this. But this person is going even further. They don't want you to have 3 times the rent. They want you to have 3.5 times the rent. They want the last 2 years of your W-2s, the last 3 months of your check stub, driver's license or ID, social security card. They want you to make 2 months worth of rent as your security deposit before you even move in, and you have to have a credit score of at least a 670. Off the bat, that disqualifies so many people from being able to be in a home that is decent. Let's add that up, why don't we? Off the rip, you have to pay first month's rent, $16.95. You have to pay $40 application fee per adult, and let's just say the standard adult is 2 adults, right? You have to pay, if you have a pet, which majority of people in Houston do have pets, dogs, it's a $250 non-refundable fee per pet. So let's just say you have a pet. We're going to add that up. And then you have to make 2 months of the rent to equal the amount of the security deposit. So that's $16.95 times 2. All right. And on top of that, we're not even talking about your utilities and all the things that you have set up. They want you to have rental insurance before you move in. Standard rental insurance is probably about $25 a month. Let's just say that. Before you can even move into this house, sitting in a savings account somewhere or just idle money, you already got to come off of this amount of money.
I left America 6 months ago and my life is infinitely better.
I thought leaving the country was going to be like the biggest culture shock. Turns out the biggest culture shock was actually moving back to America, man.
So I've made a decision and I'm moving to Bali. I'm getting my kids up out of America because it sucks here. I can't stand it. I hate it. Ugh.
The rat race that is living in the United States.
You know that the U.S. poverty line is actually more closely a measure of starvation than poverty? In the 1960s, an economist for the Social Security Administration named Molly Orshansky devised a formula that she believed would be able to capture the minimum amount of income a family of 4 needed in order to live a nutritionally sound life. Orshansky took a couple of things into consideration. In the 1950s, which is the period that she was kind of looking at while she was making these calculations, she noticed that most American families spent about 1/3 of their income on food. Based on something called the Economic Food Plan from the USDA, and because she noticed that 1/3 of income was spent on food, she took that Economic Food Plan price from the USDA and multiplied it by 3 to come up with what she believed would be an accurate poverty line, a measure of poverty. Well, that doesn't work anymore because now Americans spend much more money on food and healthcare. A much higher percent of their income goes there. But did you know that there was a recent study that said that actually that's more of a measure of starvation, and that the true poverty line in this country for a family of 4 should be closer to $140,000 a year. The official poverty line threshold for a family of 4 in this country is $32,000 a year. Let that sink in. You can't budget your way out of something like that. You just can't.
How did the American dream die? How did the middle class die? I'm going to tell you, it started in the 1980s with trickle-down economics that did not work. They decided to give tax cuts to the rich and corporations saying that money would trickle down. It didn't. It just made the rich richer. Then we greenlit stock buyback. So instead of, when the productivity was going up, instead of giving workers more money, they just bought back their stocks so the shareholders could make profit and the executives could get bonuses. Then we had leverage buyouts, and the government didn't regulate leverage buyouts, and that was the start of private equity basically buying up everything so that they could make more money. Then we moved away from pensions to 401ks, which essentially just took the responsibility and accountability of the company to take care of their workers with the retirement and put it on to individuals, but we were never taught economics in high school, so how the fuck are we supposed to know about compound interest and investing? But they may said the 401k was better than the pension when it wasn't. Then they started shipping our jobs overseas, building the middle class of other countries so that they could make more profit, destroying the middle class here. Then we started ramping up the borrowing money and getting into debt as a country, which devalues our dollar. And then in 2008, we had predatory lending, which crashed the housing market, fucked over so many Americans. And then we used taxpayer money to bail out the banks. And when all the houses were cheap, the rich went and bought those up. And that's when you started to see the rent start to increase around the 2010s into the 2015s. And then in 2011, we allowed super PACs to exist. So billionaires can now buy elections, and they use that money on attack ads, which divides the country. Divide and conquer, and that's what they did. In 2020, we had the pandemic, which both sides of the aisle handled like absolute shit, shut down all small businesses, all the money went to the top, the rich got richer, they printed trillions of dollars more, which people needed, but what did all the people do? We spent the money because we needed to spend the money, and where did that money go? To the top, and they got richer. And lastly, they decided during the pandemic, let's lower the interest rates on buying a home to 2.5% to 3% so that people could refinance and get ahead. But no, all that really did was give the green light to a bunch of rich people to basically borrow free money and buy up all the fucking housing so that we can no longer own a home. And that all ended in 2021. Then we've experienced 25% inflation since the pandemic. And here we are in 2025, and we no longer have a middle class, and the American dream is dead.
Do you know why the American middle class is at the worst it's ever been? It's not illegal immigrants or the most recent moral panic that conservative media is pushing out right now. It's also not because millennials and Gen Z are lazy or spending too much on avocado toast. This single graph should tell you everything you need to know about why the middle class is being gutted and failing. The short answer is unregulated corporate greed. The average CEO pay has gone up 1,000% since the 80s. And look at the typical worker pay. You can barely even see that line. It's increased about 10% adjusted for inflation. If you're making minimum wage or lower, it's worth less now than it's ever before. Minimum wage has effectively not increased since 80 years ago. Middle wage and lower wage earners have essentially not seen an increase in their pay since '79. Meanwhile, corporate profits have continued to rise. What we're seeing is an absolute failure to tax corporate profits and allow corporate greed to go absolutely unchecked in an unregulated capitalist system. Problems that exist in America's society today is not caused by the most recent moral panic you see on the news. It's from corporate greed.
There's plenty of people struggling. Plenty of people living in cars, vans, storage units. I mean, one of my biggest dreams is to build a van or a box truck and travel America. But even then, that's only like a 2-3 year kind of thing. People are doing this forever, permanently, until future notice. You know why? They can't afford to live. I mean, people working 3 jobs. You have people working 2 jobs and a side hustle. You have single moms working 3 jobs at home and taking care of their kid because daycare is too expensive. So they work at home while taking care of their kid at the same time. I mean, there's just so many things where if you can't look and tell there's an issue going on in this country, you might be the issue.
So much in fucking taxes, y'all. I have 3 jobs and I'm still struggling. I have 3 work from home jobs and I do all 3 Monday through Friday. And I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Let me get this straight. We can't afford rent because rent prices are increasing so much to push us out to buy homes. But the interest rate is so high, you can't buy a home. And also you're not going to get funded for a home because of your debt to income ratio. So then what? And then homelessness or houselessness is becoming criminalized. So then what? I don't understand. To be honest, I really like the idea of building a commune, aside from like the culty aspect of it, but essentially buying land, driving vans, building a tiny houses on it, and everyone shares.
Hey everybody, my name is Tyler, and because of the out of control inflation that we're having in our country right now and rent prices being over $1,500 a month, I have been outpriced at the rental market, and I live here in my car full time, and I wanted to give you a brief tour. So starting with the bed here, it is a 3-inch memory foam mattress topper, super comfortable. I have about 4 layers of blankets, which keeps me warm, especially right now we've got 20-degree weather at night, so it's pretty cold. Moving over here, I have my cooler. I've had a few people tell me I'm not supposed to have this cooler because I live in my car, but it actually was a birthday gift last year for my 30th birthday, and I just can't part with it. I absolutely love it. Keeps all my food cold and fresh for days. I absolutely just adore this cooler, so I'm not going to get rid of it.
I've seen a lot of TikToks lately about people complaining about how hard it is to live in America and everything's more expensive and it's a third world country with a Gucci belt, and I just want you to know one thing. You are not crazy. That is fact. We rank 25th in the world for economic freedom, 129th in global peace, the land of the 15th freest, 15th, 17th for quality of life, 20th for gender equality, 18th for healthcare. But we spend more than anybody else. We have the lowest life expectancy for men and women of any country with a high GDP. We rank second to last in childcare quality, 29th in work-life balance, no surprises there. Pay attention, because this is a weird one. The scale for this one says that the number 1 country has the highest rate of poverty. What that means is 54 countries have a lower poverty rate than the richest country in the world. We do, however, rank number 1 in a few places. We are absolutely killing the game in the cost of college. Number 1, baby! And you can always rest assured that you live in the richest country in the world, except that the richest 10% own 70% of the wealth and the bottom half are fighting over 2.5% of it. What I'm trying to say is if you feel like you're struggling just to survive right now and this seems like a bunch of bullshit, it's because it is a struggle to survive right now and it is a bunch of bullshit.
I left America 5 years ago to live abroad and travel the world, and I returned last December, so now I've been here officially for 1 year, and this is everything I have learned and everything I just know to be true about America. America's a third world country, and if you don't understand that, if you're like, oh my god, that's not true, why would you say that? There are countries that are actual third world. America's a third world country. It's just like think about America as like shitty, like shit, right? They took shit, they put it in a box, they made it really pretty, they gave you a really cute bow, and they handed it to you, and you're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's America. It's a third world country. Yeah, everyone's suffering here, but because the infrastructure looks okay, because of entertainment, because of whatever, it seems like everyone's doing okay. Nobody's doing okay. Credit score does not exist really anywhere outside of here. Other countries have credit score, but it's not like you take your credit score from America and you can take it to other countries and they care. They don't really care. If you have the money in other countries, you spend it. If the house costs $1,000 a month and you can afford it, you just get the house and you pay it. Nobody's gonna come ask you for your arm and a leg. It's not that serious. What else? Work-life balance, non-existent, not a thing here. This country is literally you work, and then you're gifted with death. Love it.
Hot take. The United States is just a really overpriced, expensive third world country that doesn't even have good food. Like, at least when you go to third world countries, like in Southeast Asia or South America, they've got good food, and they got culture, and they got family values. You ever hang out with people from Southeast Asia and South America? The nicest, warmest people in the ever. And then you go to the United States, it's like, oh my god, the food trash, and it's expensive, and no one's gonna hug me? What the fuck?
Welcome to the land of the free 2025.
Do we have free healthcare? No. Free accommodation for the elderly? Absolutely not. Do we have free housing for the homeless? Absolutely not. Do we have free education? No. Do we have free food? No. So wait, what's free? Oh, you're free to live the way you life you want, but everything else is extremely expensive. Sorry.
I don't know who's out here living the American dream, but I can tell you one person who isn't, and that's me. I have 4 kids and I'm working 3 jobs and I'm still struggling. I have my full-time job. I'm a 911 dispatcher. My other 2 jobs, a waitress. The American dream should not be this hard. I should not have to be working my life away, being away from my kids. You know, sometimes I have to pick. Am I going to pay my electric bill or am I going to buy groceries? Because my kids need to eat. This is not the American dream. I'm so tired of struggling. You know, so many people are going to work, working multiple jobs just to pay for a house to sleep in, just to put their head down at night. This is not the American dream, not my American dream. That's why I started posting here on TikTok. So hopefully I can slow down some so I can spend time with my kids. Life shouldn't be this hard. I know one person that's making 6 figures and they're still struggling. Why's it gotta be so hard? Anyways, if you want to help this mama out from struggling, you know what to do. I'm headed into work to work at Buffalo Wild Wings today. I have to work a double, say a prayer, I make some money.